Finding out about what narcissism is has changed me, has changed my thoughts on people in my life, especially people that have been close to me, like family members. My real mother is that way. I had to decide to go no contact for the sake of me, my family, my kids, around being around her. It was a cousin that I let into my life, and I let him stay in one of the properties that I own. He paid rent and stuff like that. Dude was like this as well. He was a narcissist as well. I had to basically go no contact with both of them, or keep a distance from them, right? And it wasn't an easy thing for me to do. It was difficult for me to do because they're my family. You know what I mean? I'm raised to think like, oh, they're family. That we got to take care of each other. They love me, I love them, whatever. But in cases like that, people that are narcissistic will take advantage of that and use it against you, which sucks. If you have a family member that is narcissistic, it sucks, because if you grew up with them, you don't know, like, that you're growing up with it, and they're training you in the ways that they'll have supply. They continuously have supply from you by training you. If you're growing up with them, if your mother is like that and you're a kid, your mentality is warped. Your sense of self is gone, because they don't want you to be yourself. They want you to be for them. So, and one of the main ways for me to realize that about my mother is when I got married. For one, there was a lot of pushback. When I had kids, there was another thing. Like, she was just ignoring the things that I had set, the boundaries that I had set for myself, my family, and my kids. She was ignoring the boundaries, and it reminded me of all those years where she was ignoring boundaries. And it was normal. I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is how it is having a mom. This is how it's supposed to be, because my mother was not in my life until I was a teenager. My stepmother and my father were the ones that raised me. And I feel a lot of regret of leaving their house and going to live with my real mom, because it was bad for me, because my mother was a narcissist. Her whole world was like that. And I learned those ways that she taught. And I thought it was normal. Oh, this is how my mom is. I had to accept it, and I did for years. And I just got to the point where I realized, like, when I got married and had my own life, I moved out of her house, and I had my own life, my own apartment. And then I got married, and then I started having a life with my wife, and then I had kids. And then after having all that, I realized, and studying narcissism, through teachers on YouTube, doctors on YouTube, I realized that I needed to cut ties, like to go no contact with my mom, for one, because I needed to heal. And I didn't know this at the time, but later on, I was like, okay, that's why I needed to go. One of the reasons why I needed to go no contact is so that I can heal, right? And so much change has happened to me since then. My sense of self, I'm getting my sense of self back from when I was a young, from when I was a teenager. My sense of self that I learned from my dad and my stepmom. And a lot of those bonds, those trauma bonds that I had from being in a relationship with my mother, who's a narcissist, they're being broken. They're being realized. And I'm learning still to be the person that I want to be. A good father, a good husband, a good person in the workplace. So being able to make that decision is so freeing. If you're dealing with that, like thinking about going no contact with a mother or a father or a family member, you're probably right in doing so. And it's going to feel very weird at first, because they've trained you up into that point that if you act a certain way, you're going to get punished for it, or there's going to be repercussions for it. That's why it's weird, because we're trained in a certain way. But whenever we decide to make decisions for ourselves, which was the original thing we should have done as kids, which our parents should have let us do as kids, if we have narcissistic parents, we never had a chance to build that muscle of making our own choices. So when we're older, making our own choices at an older age it's difficult, because it's outside of the norm. It's outside of that narcissistic relationship. But I'm telling you, when you decide to make that change, it's freeing, right, for one. And two, on the flip side of that, there's going to be all kinds of pushback from your parents, from your cousins, from your friends, or whoever that narcissist you're deciding to go no contact with or avoid. There's going to be pushback. They're going to be like, well, why? And they're going to kick and scream, not physically, but through the tactics they used to use. They're going to try to use them on you again so that you can change your mind. My mother gaslit me. My wife, she said some ugly things to my wife, some ugly things about my kids to my wife. And these are the things that you need to get prepared for, because it's going to happen. When we choose to be ourselves, when we choose our who we want to be, when we make choices based upon that, those people that have been controlling us through all our years, or have been training us all our years to be for them, there's gonna be because they're losing supply. We've been giving them that supply all our years, all that time, and when that supply is gone, they need it. So, like, for instance, when I went no contact with my mom, she was giving me, trying to gaslight me and tell me that I'm wrong and this and that, right? Eventually, it got to the point where she finally figured it out, right? He's made his decision, whatever. She moved on, right? She found another source of supply, whether it be from her husband or people at church or wherever she's getting supply, she's getting it from there. And then every now and then she'll cut, like, if that supply runs out, she'll come back to me to try to get that supply that she was used to getting. She sends text messages. I blocked her phone number because the text messages, she's a Christian, quote unquote, and she uses that, tries to use scripture to make me feel bad, to guilt trip me. It's like, no, I know the scripture you're showing, and you're basically, like it says in I think it's 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians, that a person that they're just quoting scripture, but their lifestyle doesn't reflect it. It's like a noisy gong. It's annoying, and that's the vibe that I'm getting from my mom. So anyway, she comes back for supply. And then I gotta tell her no, and then she goes find supplies somewhere else. I got 2 brothers. She gets it from either one of them too. As you can imagine, the dynamic in that family, in the family of 3 boys, which is me. I'm the middle child. I got a younger brother and an older brother. The narcissists will wreak havoc on a household that has multiple children, because they'll train them at a young age to be for them and not for themselves, which is opposite. You need to train them to be for themselves and not for you. I hope this helps you guys in your journey and navigating the people that are narcissists around you. Hopefully it helps. This is just my experience, and I still deal with it every so often. So appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Bye.